guys, I'm Jakub from Apify. I'm engineer there, and let me talk today in this short lightning call about Apify and x402. It's mainly how-to guide. It's mainly for the hackers there. So if you are participants for the hackathon, it might be useful to you. If not, it's also like you learn about the x402, how we implemented it, how can you use that actually with our services, or in general how it works usually. So let me first introduce the Apify. So if you're a hacker, so you know what are the use cases, is that, and then I'll show you how to use that, what are the touch points for the clients, and what is even the x402, how does it work with our services. So in short, Apify is like a marketplace of tools. We have thousands of tools. Most of them are maintained by the community. Some of them are maintained by us. And in short, it's mostly for web scraping and web automation. So let's suppose you have some kind of project, you need to access real-time web data from Instagram, socials, Google Maps, e-commerce websites like Amazon, scrape YouTube transcripts, access Twitter data, and so on. You could use our tools for that. So that's the main use cases. People use us for lead generation, also LinkedIn and stuff like that. Also, you could deploy the tool you built and monetize it on our marketplace. That's Apify in short. How do you actually use that? Nowadays with agentic coding, it's quite simple. I think majority of people use coding agents when they are building, especially during the hackathons. So we've prepared like simple agents MD file. Familiar with that? If not, agents MD is like an open standard. It's like a guide for coding agents. So it's mainly agent-focused file. You give it to your coding agent, so you point the agent to the file, and then you can with Apify. So there's like all the context you might need. So there's like all the API, the MCP, how to use it, and will essentially guide you. So you can talk to agent and say like, build me some project that uses Apify in this way, and the agent should be able to do that with this file. Essentially, we have two types of APIs, major services nowadays. So simply, you just do call, include your token, and it's done, right? But you might do it in future slides. Some of you may have about MCP. If not, essentially it's REST API for agents. So it was introduced by Anthropic, like I think a year ago. It stands for Model Context Protocol. Essentially, it's a bunch of tools you give to your AI agent and you extend its capability. So for example, in context of Apify, we give them the capability like, hey, scrape me Instagram, scrape me Google Maps. If you are, for example, like blockchain firm, you could be like explore blockchain, fetch me transactions for this address or for this account. So essentially think of it as like dynamic REST API for AI agents. You may be asking, okay, why would I do this so if I can just use REST API with your agents? Yes, sometimes you can, but usually, for example, there is cases where you cannot use REST API. For example, ChatGPT UI in the web. There's no way to call REST API because they block the internet connection, so you cannot do the fetch. You have to use MCP connector. So that's why you need to use MCP. And most of the coding agents actually support MCP, so it's like the easy way to connect. So there's two touch points for our service, API or MCP. But there's the issue. You may have spotted the curl call, the API call requires API token, which is like, okay, back in the day it was fine, but the clankers want to be autonomous. There shouldn't be a human in the loop. Like sometimes yes, but imagine you build like AI agent and then you have to go through each service, create an account, subscribe, then you pass the API tokens. That's not scalable. It doesn't work. Sometimes with open clause and stuff like that, you can easily leak your tokens, which sucks, honestly. And it's just not cool. So let's skip the API tokens and let me introduce you to x402. So it's the new, it's not actually new. They actually revived the 402 HTTP status code. It is actually the status code that was introduced in HTTP 1.1 RFC. It was reserved for from 1999, and it was reserved for future use. And the original idea was for payment required status. So if the service returns you this status code, it requires some payments. There was no use case for this till this day with AI agents and blockchain. the guys from Coinbase came and they saw it and they were like, hey, okay, let's build this. Build x402. Your blockchain wallet, you connect to, you give the agent access to your wallet in the transaction, present to the service, no need for any account. So it's completely accountless. If you are a hacker, you are participating in the hackathon, I recommend you to scan this QR code. It leads you to documentation page where we explain how to use it with the API and MCP. If you have any issues, just stop by the booth. We can help you there. And how do you actually use that? So the protocol is actually extends the HTTP by adding like headers. So it shouldn't interfere with anything else. In the HTTP, you just include this. So you see two blue headers. So for our API, which is like a custom thing, you include a header, hey, I'm using the x402 to signal our API that you want to pay in this way. And then the standard way of x402 included payment signature. So you signed it with your private key, you include like all the details, and then you present it to our API. We actually have a helper tool for that. Same goes with MCP, but with MCP it's much easier because the idea is that you just change the URL and you use our custom client that has actual support built in for the x402 and it just magically works. So that's why we built MCPC, the custom MCP client. So it's MCP client for CLI. So essentially if you have any coding agent like Cloud Code, Open Code, Pi, I don't know what else do you use nowadays. You just tell your agent, hey, install me this and use it and connect to the MCP server in x402 mode. So you just give it the URL like mcp apify.com payments equals x402 that signals the payment mode. And it will handle everything with the client. So the client actually has built-in wallet. You can create a new wallet or import your existing wallet using the private key. It will auto-sign all the requests and it will magically work. So you can use it to MCP. It has also helper functions, so it's also usable if you do like raw HTTP calls. You can use the sign function. It will sign the header for you and you just include it in the request. And this is how you use it. So essentially you install it, you do MCPC x402 init or import. So that creates like a wallet for you, the Ethereum one. Then if you are using MCP, you just use the connect command and then use the x402 switch. And then you can do the tool call. So you can call Instagram scraper from the Apify and you can scrape like Instagram post, for example. Same goes with API, but it's more like, let's say, boilerplatey. So first you call the API. It will give you like payment required header. It contains all the information like how much, where to pay, and so on. You can sign it with MCPC, or there's like a helper script you can find online. I can even provide it for you. It outputs and signs the transaction, like the required header value with your private key. You send it to our API. We settle everything on chain, and you can use our service without having Apify account. So that's the goal, and the idea that there's no need to have any account. So we are participating in this hackathon as a sponsor. So if you use Apify, here is a list of prizes. So you can win some prizes. For the first place. There's like 1,000 and $1,000 in Visa and Apify credits, 500 and 500 for second place, and third place we have 200 and 500. So the only rule is to use Apify somehow in your project and do x402 payment without having Apify account. Again, if you need help, find someone with Apify t-shirt or stop by the booth. And there is actually a promo code that you could use in your account to get Apify credits so you can do the scraping. So what I recommend is use the standard API keyway for testing, and then for final demo use the x402 because it requires like real USDC on chain. So you would have to like burn through your USDC. It like gets blocked for like an hour, like $1. So there's like a limited amount of calls you could do in an hour. And if needed, we can provide you a few bucks on USDC. And important point, we are right now supporting only base.org USDC. So that's the only limitation. And that's it. There is QR code for the MCPC repository, and yeah, happy hacking.
Thank you very much. I don't know if any hacker got any question for Jakub. Yeah, if not, just find anyone with the Apify t-shirt. And we're gonna be moving to Trezor expert Nick with our next